tuko na usalama katika taifa letu.
More power to the county commissioners and also to the cabinet secretaries.
Is the provincial administration back in full swing? We're live with Joseph Olelenku.
The communication equipment in the service has been wanting for a long time.
This is a system which will be on par with that which you have in London, which you have in New York, and which you have in many major cities.
Big Brother is watching enhanced security with the new 13 billion shilling high-tech security system.
It's very clear that no one is supposed to have a tinted classes vehicles when you are traveling within our roads in our country here.
Also coming up, no tinted windows at all. Inspector General's clarification on tinted windows.
This is KTN Prime with Linda Ogutu and Ben Katili.
Well, tonight, the big debate is back. Is devolution on the right track, or is the government in Nairobi seeking to claw back some powers earlier devolved to the counties?
About 12 hours ago, President Uhuru Kenyatta announced far-reaching restructuring measures, effectively making county commissioners some of the most powerful people in government.
Predictably, that has angered the governors who see themselves as the legitimate representatives of the people.
Tonight, true to our tradition, we have lined up for you a detailed coverage of the emerging controversy, including a live interview with Interior Cabinet Secretary Joseph Olelenku, who is already here.
Indeed, that is coming away in just a few minutes. But let's look at other stories that are making headlines tonight. President Uhuru Kenyatta has directed the Treasury to immediately pay the debts owed to Anglo Leasing related firms First Mercantile Securities Corporation and the Universal Sat Space.
President Kenyatta says the non-payment of the debts would injure Kenya's reputation, cost Kenya more, and endanger the sovereign bond of 130 billion shillings expected to finance next year's budget.
The debts owed to the two firms plus the interest charged per day now stand at a total of 1.6 billion shillings.
Uhuru Kenyatta says there are no other avenues left for Kenya to pursue other than to pay the debt.
He is expected to give a comprehensive brief to the country at State House tomorrow. Of course, we will cover that for you as that happens tomorrow. Now, let's return to the story of the county commissioners who have now been given powers to be what some critics now call mini presidents in the counties.
President Kenyatta ordered the county officers to take charge of all national government functions at the county level and even chair security committees.
KTN Samogina reports on the development that has sparked a whole new debate on devolution.
The restructuring of public service breathed new life into the once powerful provincial administration now under county commissioners.
In the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, we pray.
The commissioners mandated to fully represent and defend national government's interest at the county. And just like in the past, the county bosses have the president's direct hotline, but the powers come with great responsibilities.
Kama mimi silali, hata nyinyi hamtalala. Ha? Tuelewane vizuri. Tuelewane vizuri. Ya? Hamtalala. Ya? Hamtalala mpaka tuhakikishe ya kwamba tuko na usalama katika taifa letu. Wananchi wetu wanaweza kupata ile huduma ambaye ni haki yao.
The president has empowered the county commissioners to be spokespersons, ensure peace, security and cohesion in the counties. They are equally tasked to budget for government ministries in the counties, chair county service delivery committees that will coordinate national government's functions at the counties. So powerful are the commissioners that they can overrule the committees and their decisions are final. The emboldened commissioners will also coordinate counties' disaster management.
This framework must achieve efficiency, effective coordination of government business, achieve teamwork, accountability, and prudent utilization of resources as envisaged in the Constitution.
Meanwhile, government staff will be hired on fixed contracts as the human resource function is transferred from the Public Service Commission to cabinet secretaries. Seconding of staff has been scrapped and ministries can now hire their own staff. To professionalize operations, exemplary servants will be rewarded and rogue ones sacked.
This effort aims to deal with the alignment of mandates, to remove overlaps, to secure better service delivery to Kenyans, enhance the capacity and capability of government to make and implement public policy.
Cabinet secretaries become CEOs of their ministries amid claims of frustrations and intimidation from a section of senior civil servants. The CSS now have a free hand in their management and operations. The decentralization of human resource functions coined to remove patronage, bureaucracy, and inefficiency rampant in government offices.
Issues of delay, inaction, inefficiency, discourtesy, ineptitude, unresponsiveness, oppressive conduct, or service failure, whether within national or county government, are issues we deal with routinely and are issues on which we support government to redress.
The Public Service Commission has given you that authority to manage your staff. So therefore, we should never have a reason to hear or have a complaint that I have been frustrated and therefore unable to implement the programs under my ministry.
The coordination of national government's functions at the counties takes effect immediately, while the decentralization of the human resource functions will be effected on the 1st of July 2014. To move ministries, public servants will now have to apply afresh for the jobs.
And I have asked the Public Service Commission to come up with clear guidelines to ensure that this authority is not abused.
The launch of the two policy frameworks marks a paradigm shift in governance and administration in the country. Government endeavoring to run itself as a corporate entity, as cabinet secretaries are given powers to hire and fire. And just like the 90s, it marks the return of the powerful county commissioners, the then provincial commissioners. Samogina, KTN, Nairobi.
It is a development that has sparked varied reactions from Kenyans across the republic. And tonight we are seeking your view on the big question. Tonight we are asking you, is President Kenyatta's directive on county commissioners a threat to devolution?
Let us know what you think. You can tweet us at KTN Kenya, at Linda Ogutu, and of course at Ben_Kitili. You can also send a short message to the number 22155. Would love to sample some of your views during this bulletin.
And tonight the Twitter hashtag is Devolution Divide. Moments after the announcement, governors and the opposition coalition CORD accused the president of plotting to kill devolution. The two groups that spoke separately say president's move amounts to usurping the powers of the county governments. KTN's Wilson Bolo reports.
The appointment of county commissioners and the powers they hold has been a controversial issue since former President Mwai Kibaki created the offices. In June of 2012, High Court Judge Mumbingoge ruled that the appointment of the commissioners was null and void as the head of state had contravened several sections of the Constitution. However, in June 2013, the Court of Appeal said they were validly in office. And now, almost a year later, the controversy surrounding these same officers is back. President Uhuru's delegation of powers to make the commissioners CEOs of the counties is making the governors very uncomfortable. The governors argue that this is another ploy by the central government to kill devolution. The chairman of the Governors' Council, Isaac Ruto, says what the president is doing is unconstitutional and unacceptable.
Kuna njama fulani ya kuhakikisha serikali za counties wasiweze kufanya kazi yoyote.
The governor's sentiments have been shared by the Orange Democratic Movement, which says the president should be winding down the provincial administration as required by the Constitution and not empowering it.
The Constitution says very clearly that power resides in the people. And devolved government was meant to take government to the people.
Economist Kwame Owino, however, does not see how the president's declaration will affect the wage bill or the county economies as yet. He says there is no duplication of roles since the roles of the county commissioners are well defined and do not clash with those of the governors.
because county commissioners, to the extent that they represent the president, would be responsible for the delivery of public services that the national government is in charge of.
The chairman of the Constitution Implementation Commission, Charles Nyachai, also differs with the governors. He maintains that it is within the president's right to restructure the provincial administration.
There's no duplication of roles. If the constitution is followed, there is no duplication of roles.
The stage is now set for another supremacy battle in the counties, this time between the governors and the county commissioners. How does this end, and what effect does it have on service delivery at the county level? Only time will tell. Wilson Buru, KTN, Nairobi.
You're watching KTN Prime. Thank you for staying with us. Let's now bring in Joseph Olelenku, Interior Cabinet Secretary, to help us understand what has been going on. Of course, President Uhuru Kenyatta has delegated 10 executive functions to county commissioners, and the president has literally given the county commissioners every power under the sun. Thank you so much for joining us on KTN Prime. Why now? You were with the president. Why are we seeing this happening right now?
You know, when Kenyans voted the Constitution 2010, the Constitution very clearly defined the roles that are going to the counties and roles for the national government. These functions of national government stipulated in Schedule 4 of the Constitution are mandatory for government to provide their services on the ground. What the president has done is to direct his officers to do their work. I'm surprised to see high-level individual like governor saying that this encroaches on their mandate. How? The Constitution is there to say what the governors do, what the national government will do. And therefore, what the president did is just to energize his machine to deliver his mandate.
But if you listen to the president today, he literally gave the county commissioners all the power. They said they have direct access to him.
Yes. And what has happened before? Take an example when we have national examinations. When there are national examinations, DCs used to mobilize all machinery, vehicles, and every facility, secure exams, and make sure that they are done in a proper way. What you are saying now, the county commissioners are empowered to use all national government resources to deliver national government function. You could be having a road going on in Lokichogio. The head office in Nairobi here may not be there every day. Who will be overseeing that the contractors are moving at the required pace? Who will be ensuring that the immunization taking place, say, in a county is moving at the right pace?
All right, so you're trying to enumerate what they can do?
It is nothing new. It is just re-energizing.
All right, it is nothing new, but what are these powers that they were given today that they did not have before?
You know, when during the making of this constitution, there was an intention to scrap the then provincial administration.
Yes.
The constitution came and said, after a task force went around, collected views of Kenyans, and they said they need the provincial administration to be restructured in line with the devolved system of government. That has happened. But because of that, the administration looks so weakened that it needed to be given some impetus and jab to have them do their job. And therefore, just making clear within our systems of national government that as provided in the National Government Coordination Act, which requires that service delivery committees come into place to ensure that these programs and projects are delivered.
So as it is,
the county commissioners will now be chairing those committees and ensuring that there is cohesion and consistency and even supervision of national government programs.
So the structures that we had before were weak?
They were put into tests. They were made to look as if they are not functional, and we are saying they must be made functional. And that's what we have done.
All right, in a statement today, ODM acting party leader, Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, said the president has created a powerful structure in the counties instead of winding down the provincial administration as required by the Constitution. Is the provincial administration back, albeit in a different name?
What did the views of Kenyans say when they were asked what to be done? They said it be restructured to accord with a devolved system of government. The National Government Coordination Act come to provide how that will be done. That is what we are doing. And that is why now we are seeing the focus as the counties, because the devolved system provides for a national government and county government. So the national government function must be delivered in that framework of a devolved setting.
But then you realize...
That is the restructuring of the provisional administration, and we are now calling it the national administration.
All right, you're calling it the national administration, but when you look at it, it is now a threat to the county government. To the county government.
I don't know how it is a threat to them, because we have said earlier there is
a schedule. It is a threat, one, because these are men and women who will have direct access to the president. These are men and women whose word will be final in the counties.
Yes, as far as national government functions
as opposed to governors who are elected by the people, who people know these are our leaders.
What has governors got to do with functions that have been given to national government? That is the whole point. The whole point is Schedule 4 of the Constitution provided what governors should do. And I think Kenyans are asking them, have you delivered your programs? Now, us at the national government, we are also being put to test by employers, the Kenyans, saying, where are the services? Why are things slow? Why are you looking lukewarm? Why are you not moving at the right speed? So as Kenyans ask the national government to do their bit, they are also watching the same governors to do theirs, and they know. So there is no bone of contention, there is no encroachment, there is nothing to make noise about.
There will be a bone of contention, there will be conflict. How exactly are you going to ensure these two systems work together? You have the governor and you have the county commissioners. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of conflict.
There is no choice, it must work. Because I'm saying, for example, for me in security, will I ask the governor about security? What does the Constitution say? In education, a small component of education has been devolved. The rest remains intact. Now, who will we at the national government ask if our programs are not being delivered? The county commissioner. He is the one in charge of national government functions at the county. So why make noise about it? So we will not go and ask the governor what is he doing with the functions given to him. Why would they come and ask us, except for delivery of services? And we have been having a very good working framework, and devolution is gradually taking root. Kenyans and all of us are very supportive of devolution, and we are working very harmoniously. Unless out of some other hidden agenda, somebody comes and say devolution is not working, why is it not working? It should not be within the function, because the functions are clearly defined.
All right, so that is on the delegation of the county commissioners. Let's now look at security, Cabinet Secretary. And there is a question that every single Kenyan is asking: is there a strategy in place? And the reason why I'm asking you that is because there seems to be a knee-jerk reaction every time there's insecurity in the country. At one particular point, you had the county commissioner Mombasa giving the shoot to kill order. Then you had the raids in Nairobi. And then now you have Kimayu talking about tinted windows. What is going on? Do you have a strategy?
We have heard time and again discussants and individuals saying this is a knee-jerk reaction. I have said before, and I will repeat again, we have a very elaborate, long-term, short-term, and clear picture on what we want to do on security.
Give me the long-term, short-term, and...
Part of our security plan is the National Police Service modernization.
Give me the short-term.
The short-term are what we are doing on a daily basis to address incidences as they arise. Those are short-term and immediate things that we do because we cannot...
Including the tinted windows and the crackdowns.
The tinted windows... we work within the law, and mine is policy. What does the law say? If the law says there should not be tinted windows, that is what we do and implement. So if the police go to operationalize what is not in the law, how do they operationalize? Because they take people to court to go and account for breaking the law. What law have they broken if it is not covered? So my focus is that the law is being adhered to.
But do we have a strategy in place?
We do. We do have a strategy. We have come with a very clear modernization program for National Police Service. And we are delighted, actually, that part of the modernization was the issue of command control, surveillance, and communication. A process we are closing in, and something we are extremely delighted that we are sure is going to be a game changer with regard to how surveillance, how security, how communication is done. Our current communication system for National Police Service is something even criminals can infiltrate, intrude into, or even jam it. So as we close into that gap, it is a long thing that is going to work for this country. Police have been neglected on a number of fronts before: their housing, their welfare, and those are being addressed through the incoming of insurance. The housing scheme is already being rolled out. We have addressed allowances which were raised by the Ransley Commission. All those are long-term issues that are coming to be. When the Jubilee administration came to power, our focus from the word go, we say we must fight illicit brews and drugs.
Okay.
And that we did the first day.
Leave
so when we deal with it the other day, you came and say this is knee-jerk reaction.
No. Leave illicit brews and all that out of this. I'm still on security, and my concern is on the directive that was given by the inspector.
That is a serious security. Illicit brew.
I know, but let's focus on this other one. And I'm talking about the directive that was given by the Inspector General, David Kimayo, and he gave the directive that police should impound all vehicles with tinted windows. Let's look at the Traffic Act, and it clearly says that a person should not drive or operate a public service vehicle that is fitted with tinted windows or tinted windscreen. Of course, this was made by the Inspector General. I'm sure he consulted you. Are you stretching the law? Because this specifically touches on public service vehicles.
If we hold you having broken the law, what do we do with you? We take you to court. What does the court do? The court check what the law says. Now, our police officers and ourselves are aware of the law, and so are Kenyans. So we should not fight over something that is not within the law, and we should only deal with something that is being broken, and that should be the concern.
So what is the law with regard to this?
What have you read?
Public service vehicles.
And so, what are we fighting over?
You're not helping me, because police are arresting private car owners who have.
How do they prosecute those people?
So in essence, when you're arrested, there's nowhere they'll take you.
No, we are saying ours is to implement the law. Is there no law governing that?
But the law is clear. Cabinet Secretary, the law is
why
clear.
Should you worry?
Public service vehicles.
As a citizen, why should you worry if you've not broken the law? My concern is only breaking the law. Anything outside the law, I'm not going to comment.
Because the police are arresting people. They are arresting people. People are very busy trying to remove
Where do they take it?
Where do they take what?
The people who have broken no law.
So as the Cabinet Secretary, you're telling Kenyans that
I am telling Kenyans theirs is to abide by the law.
Which is, according to you, with regard to the tinted windows, help me, Cabinet Secretary, help me.
No.
According to the law is clear, public service vehicle.
Keep the law. That is my word to you.
Keep the law, which is public service vehicle.
Keep the law. Bas.
Which is public
that is
service
our
vehicles.
Deal. Don't create drama out of nothing,
I am
Linda.
not creating
Because for me, at policy level, is to look that the law is being adhered to. And therefore, to introduce me to unnecessary dynamics, I wouldn't go there.
Okay.
Because I am sure that we will not be able to arrest and prosecute individuals who are not broken the law. And if we do anything contrary to the law ourselves, we'll be made to account for the same.
Okay, so Cabinet Secretary making it very clear that he is working within the law.
Absolutely.
If you read the Traffic Act, the law is very clear. A lot of questions on why traffic policemen are now arresting Kenyans who have tinted cars. So let's see how that plays out from tomorrow, because the Cabinet Secretary has been very clear. The law is clear. The Traffic Act is there. He says, where will they take you? You're not breaking any law. Let's see how that plays out in the coming days. But just before we go to our big question reminder again, let me bring in the Cabinet Secretary again finally. I need you to give an assurance to Kenyans that they will be safe, they will be protected, just in case we get a point where we legalize these tints. How do you give Kenyans an assurance that they will be safe?
Why are you putting a huge focus on the tint?
Give
the
Kenyans
focus,
an assurance
the
that they will be
focus,
safe. Leave alone the tint. Give
the
them
focus,
an assurance that they will be safe.
The focus should be what are our laws.
Give them.
And are we abiding by the laws? And if we are, we have nothing to worry.
So can you give them an assurance?
That is what I've done.
Give them an assurance finally, as your final remarks.
My final remark is this. Kenyans need to abide by the law, whether with regard to tinted windows, whether in the way they do their business. Even I will not leave the issue of alcohol because it's a very serious issue, and drug, and therefore I tell Kenyans not to involve themselves in the business of illicit brews or get involved in drugs, because we will make sure that you account for not keeping the law. But we also assure Kenyans, and even by the action of His Excellency the President today, one of the targeted areas is security. And the rollout of the communication and surveillance equipment is also targeted to address insecurity. But very important to emphasize, the security situation in Kenya is no different. It should not be single to look like our security has gotten out of hand. Even records and statistics show that our terrorist activities in their country do not warrant even the so-called adversary coming up. There must be another hidden agenda behind that.
Okay, all right.
So our country is safe, our police are solid. We are all at the policy position very clear. We have both clear long-term and short-term strategies to address security.
Cabinet Secretary Interior Joseph Olelenku, thank you so much for joining us and for speaking to KTN Prime.
Thank you, Linda.
All right, you're watching KTN Prime. Let's remind you of our big question tonight. We were asking you, is Uhuru's directive on county commissioners a threat to devolution? Let us know what you think. You can tweet us at KTN Kenya, at Linda Ogutu, at Ben_Kitili. You can also send a short message to the number 2215155. We will be able to sample some of your views during this bulletin. Stay with us.
The Inspector General's final word on tinted windows.
You're watching KTN Prime. Thank you for staying with us.
Now, by the end of this year, it will be a lot easier for police officers to ensure your security. Safaricom is installing a superior security system to help in the identification and tracking of suspects. KTN's Ashamwilu has the details.
As normal activities continue, police will be able to respond to conditions as they unfold on the streets. A new surveillance system to be installed by Safaricom by the end of this year will change the way police handle criminal activities. Once the system is in place, police officers will get digital walkie-talkies that they can use to relay real-time videos from a crime scene to the command center.
The other feature is an emergency feature where if an officer is in distress, there's an orange button on the top of the terminal, and as soon as they press the button, it activates an emergency feature.
The communication equipment in the service has been wanting for a long time, especially the issues that Augeo has been talking about on the interferences all the time, but anybody who can access this particular gadget.
The videos from the CCTV cameras on the streets can also be relayed to police officers on the ground. What's more, the system will not only monitor the public's activities, it will also keep an eye on police movements.
For instance, if an officer has been assigned to work within the Westlands area, and that area is defined, and that officer gets out of that area, the system is able to note that the officer who was supposed to man this area is actually out of his jurisdiction.
Even as the announcement triggered concerns over the possibility of privacy violations in this new partnership between the state and Kenya's telecommunications giant, both parties say there's nothing to worry about.
Privacy is protecting your number plate. Me, I actually don't care, which is why I drive with my windows open. I don't care that people know where I am because I have nothing to hide. If you start to intrude in communications, then that's a different issue, and this doesn't go there. All it does is, as the boys have shown you, it shows you who is where and helps our police service to do their jobs.
I think it's not always the snooping that people worry about, the Snowden type. It's just the fact that you can't walk safely on the street.
A total of 80 stations will be equipped with a 14 billion shilling system in this first phase. 60 stations in Nairobi will be ready by December, and the other 20 will be installed in Mombasa within the next 24 months. Ashamwilu, KTN, Nairobi.
Let's now move to a story that is connected to the interview we have just had with Interior Cabinet Secretary Joseph Olelenku, and Inspector General of Police David Kimayo has confirmed that the ban on tinted car windows covers all vehicles on Kenyan roads. Kimayo says this is one of the strategies adopted by his department to fight insecurity in the country.
Ignorance of the law is not an excuse for any one of us here to put it as a defense for any subsequent charge that you will be charged with within the framework of the law. And therefore, it is assumed and presumed that all of us, we must know the law of the land. And therefore, there is nothing much that I can add on your question on that. It is very clear that no one is supposed to have a tinted classes vehicles when you are traveling within our roads in our country here. It's clear, whether you are a foreigner whether you are a citizen of this country, wherever you visit a country, you must know and abide by the law of that particular country.
And of course, we did have that interview between Linda Ogutu and the Cabinet Secretary for Interior, Joseph Olelenku, who seemed to differ with the Inspector General of Police, saying clearly that he was talking about the Traffic Act, where it says it is public service vehicles and not private cars, saying that if the police officers arrest you, they will take you. No, those are words of the Cabinet Secretary. Now, let's switch gears to matters business. Now, take you to the business studio where KTN's Bonnie Tunya is standing by with the latest. And Bonnie, what is happening to the tourism industry in the country?
Well, Ben, we have a lot of the business news that we've lined up for you, including that very notorious travel ban advisory coming from the UK government. I have all the details.
Certain parts of the country, including this part of the coastal stretch.
On previous trips, I've never encountered any problems, and I've always felt safe here.
In an advisory issued on Wednesday, Britain advised its citizens to avoid all but essential travel to Mombasa Island and within 5 kilometers of the coast from Topper Creek to Tiwi. Ben is, however, depending on his memorable experiences over the past decade here to stay put.
I've always felt, entirely secure here.
However, the effects of the advisory are already being felt, especially in the South Coast. Standard newspaper's Tobias Chanjo reports that 125 Britons from Diani Sea Resort alone were on their way out, 108 of whom had arrived only a day earlier. Industry players are furious.
9 out of 10 times they've issued advisories, there has been no incident to follow. And that, to me, my humble opinion, is irresponsible.
The Kenya Tourism Federation has weighed in on the issue, expressing great disappointment in what it called a lackluster reaction and sometimes inaction by government officials who should be handling this matter, reassuring citizens, investors and tourist source markets. It is low season and many hotels in Mombasa are recording below 30% bed occupancy in one of the worst years ever for tourism. Hotels like the Sarova Whitens, whose revenues are more dependent on conference tourism than holidaying, are less affected, but at 43% bed occupancy, the optimism is cautious.
We will get a hit because if your neighbor is not eating, he'll come borrowing from you.
Ben feels Britain has an obligation to protect its citizens and appreciates his government's precaution, but also feels for the beach traders who depend on tourism for their daily bread. The local players are also determined to make lemonade out of the situation.
Yes, we are susceptible to certain threats, but it is not unique. It's a global threat, and therefore we've risen up and continued to live our lives.
Industry players this time are defiant, saying in spite of the advisory, they will get on with the job and hope to post positive returns. Ferdinand Omondi, KTN at the Sarova Whitens, Mombasa.
The Cooperative Bank is off to a good start, posting 3.8 billion shillings in profit before tax in the first quarter. Now, this is a 7.5% increase from last year's as the loan books grew in that particular period. Now, during the bank's lending portfolio, it also grew by 30% from 119.1 billion shillings in 2013 to 154.6 billion shillings by the end of March. This was boosted by a 39% increase in the number of customers, with 4.4 million account holders, which saw deposits grew by 15% to 187 billion shillings. Cooperative Bank has been actively trying to grow its non-funded income, which during the period stood at 2.7 billion shillings. More results, and KenolKobil made a turnaround last year, posting 564 million shilling profit after a whopping 8.9 billion shilling loss in the year 2012. And the company is determined to stay on this growth path and has posted better returns this year. Here is KTN's Adelaide Changola with that report.
KenolKobil's ambitious growth plan suffered a severe blow last year after the planned takeover by Switzerland-based Puma Energy, which would have brought on more capital and expertise, crashed and burnt. But the company has not given up hopes of getting a strategic partner to support its growth in Central, Eastern and Southern Africa.
Continue to see a lot of interest in terms of
potential strategic partners, and the board continues to look at those opportunities.
In the meantime, the company is focused on strengthening its core business and maintaining the growth trajectory that saw it post a pre-tax profit of 564 million shillings last year after an 8.9 billion shilling loss in 2012.
A focus on profitable business lines that are going to add value to the shareholders.
To achieve this, KenolKobil is continuing its disposal plan that saw it sell off 3 depots in Kisumu, Eldoret, and Sagana to pay off dollar-denominated debt amounting to 5 billion shillings.
We see assets that are not delivering the expected returns. Those assets will be disposed of.
The company is also positioning itself to capitalize on the opportunities emerging from the ongoing exploration of oil and gas in the country, in addition to restructuring contracts to grow margins.
See opportunities in the upstream because they will require products that are supplied by the downstream organizations.
And while KenolKobil remains concerned about the rising insecurity in the country, which has seen the shilling weaken against major currencies in the last few weeks, it remains optimistic that 2014 will be an even better year than 2013.
This year will close bigger than last year.
Adelaide Changole, KTN Business.
100 megawatts of steam produced in Menengai, Nakuru County, is expected to be handed over to independent power producers by December this year. Now, according to the Geothermal Development Company, 3 independent power producers have already been awarded contracts to start producing power from 22 steam wells once proper power purchase agreements have been signed.
At the Menengai Power Project, 22 steam wells have been successfully drilled, producing 78 megawatts of steam for energy production. However, that is not enough, according to GDC Chair Simon Gisharu, with the project initially targeting 100 megawatts of steam by December, before handing it over to 3 independent power producers for energy production.
And I think what is now happening is what is called the power purchase agreement, which is being done in consultation with the Kenya Power and Lightning Company.
Once the handing over is done, the 3 contracted companies are expected to start generating power within a year's time. The management also hopes to produce around 400 megawatts of steam by the year 2016.
The Greater Menengai, we had an estimate of 1,600 megawatts, but we are doing that in stages. And right now we are actually focusing on the steam for the 100 megawatts.
I think that is where we would be justifying the taxpayers' investment in Menengai. Otherwise, by having the steam, even if we say it is 500 and there is no power, Kenyans can they still continue on experiencing the power shortage.
Gisharu, however, decried wastage of resources at the Menengai project as he issued a 6-month ultimatum to the management to streamline operations at the transport department. Power distribution from the site is expected to be rolled out by the year 2015. Kamchemenza for KTN Business.
Right, for a look at how the markets closed this Thursday as well as currency exchange, here's a look at the money market report.
All right, I'm Nicholas Mudimba. Time now for sports. Days after breaking the 3,000-meter African record at the Doha Diamond League, wild Indo silver medalist Helen Obiri says she has not set her eyes on the 1,500 meters Commonwealth title. Obiri comfortably won the 1,500 meters race in the Defence Forces AK Championships. She also led her Laikipia Air Base team to a 3rd place finish by 4x400 meters races.
Helen Obiri dominated the final day of the Defence Forces Athletics Championships at the Safaricom Sports Centre Kasarani, where she took part in 3 finals. She won the 1,500 meters race in 4 minutes and 10 seconds ahead of Stella Chepleting and Paris Nengampi. She also took part in the 800 meters race, where she won before helping the Laikipia Air Base team finish 3rd in the 4x400 meters race.
Bahamas, 1,500 meters, we have a very, very strong ladies in Faith Jemngetich and Irene Chelagat, Masi Cherono. I think tutakuja na gold.
London Olympics 3,000 meter steeplechase bronze medalist Abel Mutai was the other athlete who attracted attention. The African champion controlled the race, occasionally taking the lead before eventually bagging his third Defence Forces title in 8 minutes and 35 seconds. Wilson Maraba and Abraham Chirchir finished second and third respectively. Mutai's victory boosted his Commonwealth Games ambitions.
My body is not yet respond well. It is still down, so I am now competing to try to catch up.
Walter Moenga, who is part of the Kenyan 4x200 meters team to the World Relays in Bahamas, helped his team to clinch the 4x100 meters race title.
The 200 meters men, boys who are going to represent the country, we are going to make a mark.
KDF now has a strong team for the national championships, come trials for the Africa Championships and the Commonwealth Games. Lane Washura, KTN Sport.
It is nearly full house at the Harambee Stars camp following the arrival of Southampton's Victor Wanyama, his elder brother McDonald Mariga, Ayub Timbe and Johanna Omolo. Francis Kahata is expected back tomorrow, according to FKF. But Comoros have signaled a warning that Harambee Stars do not take them for a joke, actually, for a team that is coming to enjoy the match.
Many bookmakers have their money on the national soccer team Harambee Stars on Sunday in the preliminary round of the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers clash against Comoros. However, the Islanders have warned the Lamruche's charges to undermine them at their own peril, for they are here to cause a shock, as even the match could be termed as David vs Goliath contest. They trained lightly at the Roraka grounds, home of Tusker FC.
We come here really ambitious, and we're going to take the game. We think we've got a chance, as Kenya's got a chance. If it was Kenya or another team, it would be the same preparation for us.
The odds are against Comoros, having never qualified for the Africa Cup of Nations diadem, and for them, Kenyan showpiece is a prime opportunity to pen their country's name in the history books. They claim to have done their homework well, and they know Kenya will be a hard nut to crack.
We know Kenya is a good team. We know what they achieved before. We just thinking about us, what we can do, and just grow up as a team.
Harambee Stars, who brag of featuring in the Africa Cup of Nations twice, this being in 1992 and the year 2004, have got a boosters international cream of players that include Southampton's Victor Wanyama and his elder brother McDonald Mariga, Belgium best Ayub Timbe and midfielder Johanna Omulo, David Cheche Ochieng and Dennis Oliech have gelled up with the home side ready to conquer Comoros. Comoros offer the first test for Harambee Stars, who are eager to sparkle as they start their campaign to the next year's Africa Cup of Nations. Call them underdogs if you may, but the Comoros side remain optimistic, and all they want is a crucial victory away from home. Moses Wahisi, KTN Sports.
There are functions distinct to the county and to the national government.
Well, those are your opinions. Thank you for tweeting, for being part of the bulletin. We'll see you next week. Good night. I'm Linda Ogutu.
My name is Ben Kitili. Good night from the Standard Group Center.